All right, we're recording. Okay, you guys, we are just going to jump right in because I know that Brittany has so much to share with us tonight on customer retention, which, as your business grows and the longer that you are in this business, you will realize how important that is. And so, Brittany, I know it's almost your 1 year. I'm so excited. But will you go ahead before you jump in and just share your story with all of us?
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so my 1 year is coming up next month, June 19th. I'm so excited. To think of like how far our family's come in a year is just mind blowing for me. So I actually watched my beautiful friend, Claire Flores, who's a presidential diamond under Alyssa. I watched her for an entire year, about 11 months, I guess. I watched her journey with this business, and I was one of her first customers, like 2 weeks in the business, and stayed her customer literally for that full first year before I joined. And always like was curious about the business. It always caught my eye, and I loved what she was doing. But I guess I just always like let fear hold me back, that I didn't think that I could do something like that or be like as good at it as she was. And finally, at, like I said, about 11 months into her journey, I was at a point in my life where I was like really ready to receive it. We had a lot of changes we were going through, and I just needed a financial miracle. And I just felt God saying, like, the answer's been right in front of you all along. And so I jumped in, literally didn't even know anything about how the business worked. Just like text her one night and was like, hey, I want to join your team. What do I do? And that was it. I joined right that second, and never looked back. So in January, we went diamond, and then in March, I went double, and in April, Zach went double, and we're going for triple now. It's just been a whirlwind. Our life has just completely turned around. Zach is home now with me and the kids, and yeah, I guess that's in a nutshell my story.
Oh, I love it. I love your story so much. And I know that you have so many incredible goals for this year, and I can't wait to watch you guys just power through all of them. Okay, so let's jump right in. And can you just explain why customer retention is so important? Because I know there's a lot of new faces on this Zoom tonight, and a lot of people who are just getting started, which I feel like we can't talk about this enough. So if you will just go ahead and kind of explain why it's important, and then you can jump right in, and I'll interrupt and ask questions when needed, but you can just take it on over.
Okay, perfect. So customer retention is seriously so important, because the more customers that you can retain and that you can teach your team to retain, then that's less customers that you're going to have to replace later, and that's more for your paycheck. So you don't want to. I mean, the steps to success is 4 customers, and obviously everybody on here probably knows, a loyal customer orders for 3 months, but you don't want to have the mindset that they're only ordering for 3 months. I have the mindset that like they're never going to turn their auto shipment off, and so that's the way that I talk to them. I of course let them know that they're only obligated to order for 3 months, but I'm going to be talking to you guys throughout the Zoom about what I do to make sure that they don't stop ordering at 3 months. So just definitely like shift that mindset today, if you haven't already, that they are not stopping at 3 months. That's just all they have to do, but you're going to provide excellent customer service, and you're going to use the tools that the company gives us, aka PERT points, to really make sure your customers feel compelled to keep ordering. The number one thing that I guess that I do from the very beginning to make sure my customer retention is high is I don't suggest products that they don't need. Because the number one reason I feel like people are going to stop ordering is they're going to get like stocked up on product, or they're going to, they didn't really like what they used, those kinds of reasons. And so from the very get-go, you're only suggesting things that they actually need. You're not going to run into that. And so what I'll do, like, for example, is like if someone's wanting to lose weight, I'm immediately figuring out their lifestyle. So if they don't work out, like, I'm not going to suggest ThermaFit. I'm going to go more like greens and fat fighters, maybe throw a cleanse in there. But I think it's so important to not like just blanketly suggest the same thing for everybody, because everybody has they're in a different stage of life. They're in a different stage of, their weight loss journey. And so you've got to really make sure your suggestions, match what they need. I made this mistake early on a couple of times by like giving someone fat fighters and ThermaFit who didn't work out. And so they were seeing nothing from the ThermaFit. But the second I got them on greens and fat fighters, the results were so much better. So I think that's really, really important. And then saying it's about them getting stocked up on products, like just checking in and providing good customer service. I had a customer, one of my very first ones, who ordered hair, skin, and nails, and at 3 months turned it off, and all my other hair, skin, and nails customers were leaving it on because they were loving results. Well, come to find out when I checked in with her why, she was like, oh, I never actually got started. I never took it. And I said, well, why not? And she said, oh, well, it says to take it with food, and I don't eat breakfast in the morning, and so I just didn't know what I was supposed to do. And that sounds silly, but like if I would have checked in with her and been like, hey, how are you liking it? You know, that could have been prevented. So that's something that now I'm checking in with my customers after their first order and making sure that, you know, they've got it, they know how to use it and all of that. Cause again, that was like a silly situation that could have been prevented. So these are just little lessons, I guess you could say, I've had to learn the hard way. So early on, by making sure you're only suggesting products that they need, and then making sure that they're using them so they're not getting stocked up. I feel like that's the two first things that you can do to like set that customer retention. You know, as a, what am I trying to say? Just get yourself started off right. And then the second thing that I have always done from the beginning is I write thank you cards to all my little customers. And I will send them like a green sample or a wow sample, depending on like what they ordered. Obviously, if they ordered greens, I'm not going to send them a green sample. But if they got like hair, skin, and nails, I'll send them a green sample. This is something back when I was Claire's customer for a year, I remember getting a green sample in the mail for her and being like, oh, that was so nice. And so that's one thing early on. I was just like, you know, I'm going to keep a box of greens on the go on hand and a box of wow, just so I can, you know, be putting new product in front of my customers. So they're not just going to, you know, get the results from hair, skin, and nails and want to stop. They're going to have tried a couple other things for me, and it's going to be so much more likely that they're going to keep ordering when I tell them about the perk points and stuff like that. So just little things like that, I feel like go a long way. As my team's gotten bigger and like my customer base has gotten bigger, admittedly, like now I'm kind of where I'm just like, I'm randomly picking people to send samples to. I don't do it as religiously as I did in the beginning, but early on, I mean, probably June through January, I did this for every single customer. And so just, you know, take like, if you sign a lot of like if you sign, you know, 30 customers a month, just make a goal that you're going to send out, you know, 5 to 7 thank you cards a week. You don't have to stress yourself out and send them all at once, but it definitely is nice if you just go through your customer list as you're signing and just periodically, you know, send a wave of cards out, send some samples. And then I guess the next like big thing that I do is at 3 months, I'm checking in with every single customer. And so the best way to keep track of these guys is like if you have your customers written down in like a notebook or something, which I'm sure you guys do, I'm trying to show you mine. So like I will separate them by like lines for the month. I don't know if you can even see this, but so like I'll have my customers in chronological order, but I'm drawing a line at the end of April underneath the last customer from April. And then that way, you know, May's still on that list, but I've got April broken up. And so then what I'll do, like, for example, this month is May. So February, March, April. Okay. So all my February customers I'm checking in with this month, and I'm sending them a voice message, and I'm just saying something like, hey girl, so I'm so excited for you. I wanted to let you know that although, you know, you ordered your third order last month and you're not obligated to keep ordering, I wanted to let you know that if you keep ordering until July, the company is going to give you a $50 gift card loaded onto your account and free product. And I always look in eSuite and see what they have. So I'll say, and that's in addition to the $20 you already have. So you're really going to end up having like $80 in free product, you know, the 20, the 50 plus whatever they're going to get these next couple months. And then I'll say, and that's for, you know, you literally can use that for whatever you want. So although you don't have to keep ordering, I wanted you to know, because most of my customers want to hang on and keep ordering to get that free money. It's so huge. So if you need help, you know, figuring out what to try these next 3 months, if you're stocked up on what you have, I'd love to give you some recommendations. That has always been golden for me, because in the wording, I'm basically telling them, oh, I know you're going to want to keep ordering and getting this. You know, I'm telling them they're not obligated to, but I'm basically just telling them, oh, all my customers want to keep ordering and get this free money.
I love it. I'm going to pause you and ask you some questions.
Yeah.
Okay, so whenever because obviously, you know, you do want your customers ordering more than that initial 3 months. So how does that conversation look when you're talking to them? Do you still just keep it at the 3 months, or how does that wording look like?
Like when I'm signing them?
Yeah.
Okay. So I try to be very nonchalant. I never want them to be scared away by the little customer agreement. So I always word it like, you're getting 40% off of whatever you're getting today by agreeing to try something in June and July also. You're also going to get 40% off of those purchases and 40% off of everything else you ever want for life. And then I do always throw in, and even if it's a year down the road before you order something, you're always getting that discount. So I'm making sure they know how good of a deal it is, but it's very no big deal. You know, you're just getting something in June and July. but I throw in, you're going to get 40% off on everything else you choose to get to. And then I talk about how you're going to get 10% back in free product. If they come back and they say something like, oh, so I only have to order through July, I'll say, yeah, you're only obligated to order through July, but the company will give you, loads and loads of perks if you choose to keep ordering, which I have a feeling you will, because I know you're going to love your product. So again, just talking to them very confidently about, I know you're going to love what you're getting. But I never want it to seem like, I never want them to feel like, I don't want to lose a sale because I made it sound like you're going to be ordering for a year. So I'm very careful with how I say that. But yes, I do talk to them basically just saying, I know you're going to want to keep ordering because there's, this is so amazing. You're going to get all these perks.
Yeah, I love that. And I think, people get so afraid as distributors to even talk about the 3-month commitment, let alone, having that retention within that customer. But you have to remember, you guys, when you're talking to people, that this is a lifestyle change. This isn't just a quick fix. And our plants or our products or plants are made with plant-based ingredients. And so you have to give them time to work in your body. And that first initial 3 months is so crucial for them to be on. And so when you're talking to people, just remember that you're saying, this is a lifestyle change. So that is what you're committed to. And don't be afraid to mention that 3 months and like how Brittany does it, because you want your customers to see the absolute best results, and they will stay customers for life and eventually join you as a business partner. So just remember that this is a complete lifestyle change and not a quick fix. Okay. So it said, I wrote down, you said that you're recommending products kind of based on what their needs are, what their goals are. So when you bring in a new distributor, what does that look like as far as letting them understand that you don't have to know every single product to be successful? What tools do we have with It Works that you recommend for them to kind of read through and things like that whenever they do join as a distributor, just so that they don't feel like, oh my God, I have to know all these products.
Right. So this isn't like an official It Works thing, but this is pretty common across the team pages. The list of the goals. Yeah. I always emphasize to my new distributors, like in those conversations, especially if someone knows you just started a business and they want to support you and you're like blindly trying to figure out how to even go to the next step. I train my new distributors to give them the goals. And then I have, like, in the files of my page, I have not just the goals, but I also have the goal responses that I've typed up. Mm-hmm. And so that just basically is like the products that that accomplish each goal. And so what I'll do is I will direct them to the goals and the responses to the goals. And I will just tell them, like, hey, if someone comes to you and is like, hey, I want to be one of your product testers, they're responding off your first post, this is immediately, what the next step. Just send them the goals and say, okay, great. Please take a look at these goals and let me know which of them stand out to you. And then I will pair you with the products that accomplish that goal, or those goals if they're more than one. And most people do come back with more than one, guys. Like, most people will come back with like 5 goals. And so I always tell my new distributors, don't assume they can only afford one thing, because some of the people who you're, you feel like are the least likely to purchase more than one thing will be the one that are like, you know what, let's tackle them all at once. And not always, but I'm just saying, like, always have that mindset, like let them choose what they want. So what I do is I will respond to them with the information and the products that accomplish those goals. And I'll kind of like figure out their budget and see how much they can, work with, up front. Because some people who you may just are going to help them with one thing, come to find out they've got a $150 budget. So you can actually work with them on like 3 different goals at once. So don't ever assume that it can only be one thing. But that's what I do, is I give them the goals and the responses to the goals.
I love that. And another thing, you have to have an abundance mindset. I think that is huge. But what I did when I got started, because I was seriously clueless, I didn't even know there was more than the wrap. And so as I began to understand, okay, I have to like actually help people with their goals, I would just have a catalog in front of me. And as they would tell me their goals, I would just write it down. And then I would look through the catalog on which products that I would recommend for them, based on the description of the products. We also have the product coach, which is amazing. And you have access to incredible uplines, you guys. So if you're like, hey, this person needs more energy, better sleep, they want to lose about 15 pounds, what would I recommend? That's where we're here to help. That's where the pages are here to help you. And just until you get comfortable doing it. And you'll find that so much of what, the products that you're learning about, it's like a one-time question. So like, what would you recommend for someone who needs energy? And just simple questions like that. And then you'll be so confident and know all of those answers as time goes. So you don't have to know everything right now to get started. Okay, so my next question for you is, I know that you do send out samples, but for a lot of people like me, I had $5 to my name when I was just getting started. So if I don't have that product to send out, what other ways could I kind of just show my customers that I appreciate them so much?
I would say just still sending a thank you card, or if you don't have any stamps on hand, you don't have cards on hand, and that's something you're going to have to wait till a month or two in the business to be able to do, then just at least like a thank you email, just something, because you've got their email and eSuite, just a heartfelt, like something separate from just that initial like Facebook message, like thank you for your order, like just something that you actually took time out, because they're going to recognize when they get, most of us just get junk email, just like most of us only get junk mail. So when they get that thank you card in the mail, or they get that actual personal thank you email from you, that's going to stand out to them. And that's going to set you above, maybe other people that they have bought from before. And I'm not talking about It Works. I'm saying like other direct sales companies, So don't just forget them once you sign them, just do whatever you're able to do. Like Alyssa said, if you don't have the money when you get started to do samples, that's totally fine. That doesn't mean you're not going to be able to show your appreciation. Just do what you can, and just go above and beyond in the best that you can to show them that, you care and you're thankful that they're your customer. I will literally say in my thank you cards, like, thank you so much for your order. It means so much to me and my family. I appreciate so much you supporting our business. I make sure it's very, very appreciative and very heartfelt.
Yes, I love it. Okay, let's see here. I think that was all my questions I have right now. Go ahead with your amazingness.
So whenever I'm checking in at the 3 months, I'm letting them know about the perk points. And I would say literally like 95% of my customers, when I voice message them, this is huge. So I don't just send them a type message letting them know that if they keep ordering, they're going to get 50 perk points. The reason why is because when you voice message them, you can be so excited. And they're going to hear that excitement. And it's almost like to them, oh my gosh, I have to do this. I'm getting $50. Like, this is amazing. I literally will have people respond to my voice message, wow, and like all these exclamations. They're like, I've never heard of a company doing that. That's awesome. Mm-hmm. So just never like miss an opportunity to really lay your excitement on really thick and like let them feel, that you're excited for them. So after I voice message them and they say that they want to leave it on, then I ask them if they need any help choosing a product for next month. And then some of them do, some of them don't. Honestly, some of them, if they've been like loving hair, skin, and nails, they're like, oh no, I'm loving hair, skin, nails, I'm just going to keep taking it. So that's fine. And some of them honestly don't even answer, but then I'll notice in eSuite they don't turn their auto shipment off. So I'm like, okay, I guess they were cool with that and want to leave it on. Yeah. But after that point, I'm now writing them down in a list to check up with when their 6-month one runs. And then at 6 months, I'm doing the exact same thing. I'm voice messaging them in the same way. And I'm just telling them I'm so excited. If they choose to keep ordering from this point forward, which, I know they're going to want to hang on for this, they're going to get that $150 gift card at their 12th month. And I always tell them what the month is, because I feel like for people, like 12 months can seem like a long time, or 6 months. But when you're like, oh, you're getting this in July, they're like, oh, that's not that long away, So I'll say that. And then it's basically just an identical message. I kind of like roughly calculate what, an estimate of, I think they'll get back the next 6 months. And I don't ever overestimate. So if they're getting 10% back, I'll be like, oh, and that's in addition to probably the $20 you're also going to get these next few months, and the $80 that's already on your account. So same thing, just really like showing them how much they've accumulated, how much they're going to keep accumulating. And then, yeah, same thing. A lot of them will they'll just leave it on because that's so much free money on the line.
So, perk points, you guys, with the perk points, you get $50 after 6 months. And then after 1 year, you get $150. It's a $150, right?
Yeah.
But perk points, you also get 10% back for every single order. So if your customer placed a $50 order, then they get 10% of those back as perk points. And that accumulates over time. So, I mean, I've had accounts who have like $200 worth of perk points. And another way that you can even voice the perk points is like, hey, Amanda, I'm so thankful for you for supporting my business and ordering products. And I wanted you to know that I loaded blank amount of free products in your account. So that's another way that you can introduce that perk points to them. Okay, I have a couple questions. At what point do you introduce the business, or do you introduce the business? Because I know for me, every 3 months I will introduce the business, but I don't know what that looks like for you.
So this is something that I actually had never thought of until I heard you actually say it, Alyssa, on a Zoom. And I was like, oh my gosh, why have I not done this? And it was just like a really big aha moment for me, because I've had probably, I would say 11 loyal customers join me, completely blindside me, and just come in and say, hey, I want to join you. And then like on the spot, sign up and join. And they're like rock stars on the team. And I really think it's because, they fell in love with the products, and then they saw obviously saw you can make money at this, but they were already sold on the products, and they just come in like guns blazing, full throttle. So after that had happened, and then I heard you say it on a Zoom, I was like, okay, I really need to start, being proactive, because I wonder how many of these people would have joined me even sooner if I'd have brought it up. And so what I've been doing is I don't do it with everybody, and I know they say don't prejudge people. I'm not bringing it up to everybody, and that's not necessarily the right way. This is just me right now where I'm at. But I'm bringing it up to the people who are ordering very consistently from me, and who I feel like, number one, will be really good at the business. And then number two, who just kind of express, this may not make sense, but express a lot of excitement about the product. So some people keep ordering, but I don't really hear anything from them. Like, they don't ever really give me feedback if they're liking anything. Half the time, I'm not sure it's just because they didn't even remember their auto shipment was going. But the people that are like, oh my gosh, like I've never had this much energy since I have, with drinking the greens. Those kind of people are the people that I'm like, okay, I need to bring up the business to them. And I'm just basically just sending them a voice message. If I have their number and they have like an iPhone, I'll voice message them that way. Or if not, over Facebook. And I always voice this, and I just say, hey girl, I know that you've been loving your products, and I know this is so random, but I just had to ask you, like, have you ever thought about possibly making money while using the products? Because I know that you could kill it at what I do, and I know you're in love with everything you're using. And I just, I was just thinking about you a lot today, and really wanted to just, bring this up, because I'm totally going to be kicking myself later if I don't. And they always respond really well to that, especially when you kind of say something like, don't think I'm crazy, but I had to bring this up. I usually have people that will like respond back to me and be like, oh my gosh, you're so sweet. It kind of like lets their guard down. So don't be afraid. If you're kind of uncomfortable to do it, like use that as like a crutch. I don't think I'm crazy, but I had to, but that's gone really well for me. I've had people that have politely declined, but still keep ordering. And I've noticed like pay extra close attention to my business posts from that point forward. Like people who were never loving my post before, all of a sudden. And so I know like it's one of those things, it's in their mind, and who's to say that 3 months down the road, they're not going to have like a shift in their life, and they're going to, be like, hey, let me take you up on that offer you made 3 months ago.
Yes, I love it. Love it. Love it. Okay. So my next question was, do you ask for referrals, and at what point do you do that as well?
Yes, I do. And is my video freezing, Alyssa? I see in the comments.
It's like, I can hear you fine, so it doesn't bother me. Probably like it does other people. It's just a little, okay, but you're fine.
Okay, I can go in the other room if I need to. I'm kind of far from my router in my house, so that's probably why. Okay, so as for referrals, yes, I do. And I do it more, admittedly, when I'm really pressing for volume at the end of the month or up for promotion, but I did it in both March and April, and it went really well. I just messaged my little customers that have ordered from me for a while, and I just sent them a voice message again and just said, hey, I know this is random. I know you're loving your products. I am going for a really big life-changing promotion this month, and I just wanted to know, is there anyone you know that could really benefit from the same products you've been using, or something else that you have seen that I have? I would love to offer the same discount that I offered you. And guys, a lot of times my little customers don't even know that there's like a little customer price and a retail price. I always present it like a product tester. So a lot of them just really think this was like a special discount they got for being a product tester. So I always say, like, I can offer them that exact same discount that I offered you, with all the same perks I offered you, if you have anybody in mind. And I mean, it's kind of, I would say like 60-40. I would say like 60% of them either don't refer anybody or say, oh, let me see if I can think of anybody, and don't. But there's like surprisingly about 40% who are like, yeah, actually I do have some friends who I've been talking to about the hair, skin, and nails. Do you want to add them on Facebook? And they'll just give me their info, and I'll add them. And then once they add me, I'll voice message them. But I always voice message these people because, again, I want them to just hear that I'm very genuine and I'm not trying to just sell them on something. And I'll say like, hey, Melissa gave me your info. She said you've been asking her about hair, skin, and nails at work. I would love to give you the deal that I gave her. And then sometimes it looks the opposite. Sometimes they are literally like they're sending someone to me. And so I'm getting a text from someone. But yeah.
I love that. Okay, take it away.
Okay. The other really big thing I feel like in customer retention is just providing like really excellent customer service. So Zach actually made this comment today when I was talking to him about the Zoom. He was like, you've got to think like, why are people loyal to you? Like when people have come to you and like kept ordering over time, like what are some comments they've said? And it like really just dawned on me. Like there's been multiple people that have said things like, thank you so much for never forgetting about me. Thank you so much for, always checking in to see if I'm okay, if I need anything, stuff like that. So I think it's just so important to show your customers that you care, even after that initial, like thanking them with a thank you card or an email, like we talked about, just ongoing through the journey. Just, make sure if you're friends with them on Facebook or Instagram, you're still liking and commenting on their stuff. Don't stop engaging once you get the sale. Still treat them like you treated them when they were a potential. And like answer their questions promptly. So if someone messages me, like one of my current loyal customers, and they're asking me a question, or even if it's something like, hey, I got an email about my auto shipment running, and I'm not ready for it to run yet. What can I do? I make sure I always am answering that stuff really promptly, because I don't want them to ever feel like that I'm leaving them hanging. Because here's the thing, like we work on social media. So if you leave someone hanging, like they know they know you're avoiding the message. If they message you and then you do a post an hour later, they're like, okay, she's obviously on Facebook. So I feel like really making sure that you just, give them spend that time and that care with them, and be very prompt in answering. And just like if someone ever comes to me with an objection or a problem, I guess I'm very calm about it, but very caring. So like I've had people that are like kind of message me in freak out mode, and they're like, oh my gosh, I got an email, my auto shipment's running, I don't have money, I need you to turn that off. And I will voice message and be like, oh my goodness, I'm so sorry, let me help you with that. So it's the 5th, why don't we move it out to the 25th? Does that work for you with your payday? So I'm never just like also freaking out alongside them like, oh my gosh, let me turn it off. I'm trying to like offer a solution. And I'll say something like, I don't want you to lose your perk points. You're on your 5th month right now. And next month you're going to get a $50 gift card loaded to your account. So if we could just move that out to the 25th, that would be great. That way, it still works with your payday, and then you don't lose that gift card you're getting next month. So again, just like helping them, but being very, cool, calm, and collected, even when they're not. And they're going to appreciate that in the long run. I've had people that are like, oh, thank you so much. Yeah, I guess I don't really want to turn it off. I was just freaking out because I don't get paid till Friday and it was going to run on Tuesday or whatever. And then the other thing that I make sure I do too is like if I see declines in eSuite, so not only am I checking in with my declines and saying like, hey, did you get a new card or anything like that? I'm also making sure they know how that's going to affect their perk points if we don't get it resolved. So I make it seem like that's why it's urgent. It's not urgent that I get the sale and I have the volume this month. It's urgent that you don't mess up, your line of perk points. And I'll say like, same thing. I'll be like, you're on month 4. I don't want you to miss out on that $50 you're getting in July. So do you have a new card? That's just such a huge chunk of money. I don't want you to miss out. So I always try to make sure it's about them, not about me, because if they feel like it's just about you, especially if like they haven't heard from you in 3 months and then now their card declines and you're like urgently messaging them, they're more likely, I feel like, going to be kind of on the defensive. But if you're messaging them, voice messaging them very sweetly and saying like, oh, I don't want this to mess up, the consecutiveness of your orders, and so you don't miss out on that free product, then all of a sudden it's like, oh wow, she really cares. Like she didn't have to message me and get this fixed, but she did.
Yeah. Awesome. So what are, just like a random quick question, do you just keep your notebook? Is that how you organize your customers, or do you have like Facebook lists? What does that look like on your end?
So I do, as far as like keeping a running list of them, I have them in my planner. I have a note section in the back, and I have just from the beginning since I've started, I have them in a consecutive order, and then I just draw a line under each month, so that way I can see who signed in what month, so I know when to check in. But then I do have them in a Facebook list. I have a Facebook list for like my downline, and I have a Facebook list for my loyal customers. And I do that so that way, if all of a sudden my newsfeed is all my current customers and I'm not seeing any new potentials, I will unfollow them, but I have them in that list. So that way my feed can still be like new potentials. But what I'll do is at the end of every day, I'll go to that list that says loyal customers, and I will go through that news feed that's just the loyal customers and still like and comment. So that way, again, I'm still engaging with them, but it's not hindering me getting new business.
Yeah, I love that. I know that, people do lists. People even make like groups for loyal customers, and they do, like they'll post like some before and afters in there. They'll ask people, what was your favorite product and why? And they have people who order just based on what their customers love and the results that their customers have had. So that's another idea. I know you guys, for me, I keep everything in my phone just because I'm always on the go. And so for my customers, like in front of their name, it will say LC and then a green heart, and then it will be their name. And also if you have an iPhone, I don't know about Androids, but you have like a note section under every single person's contact name. And so that is where I will put them, like the month that they're on and what they're ordering, and I'll keep track of that. And so, if there is a promotion, I'll start messaging them, and it's just easier to just type in LC and they all pop up. And that's another way that I follow up too. And so what does your follow-up look like? Do you schedule certain days for that, certain times, certain power hours?
So if it's someone, I was actually just explaining this to someone the other day, so tell me if this is like way complicated. if they are a very like self-sufficient, like they're our age, and I feel like they don't need my help like changing that auto shipment, I am a little hands off, like I let them handle it, but I mean they know how to do it. I'm making sure they know how and all that, but I let them change it themselves. But if ever it's like an older person, like say someone our parents' age or like my grandma's age, I will check in with them and I will make sure they don't need help changing it, because those are the customers that I've had that have literally come to me. They're like, oh, I didn't want cleanse again and I had no idea how to change it. So those people, what I do is I write them in my planner, and I'll just like, if they ordered on the 5th of April, I'm going to write them down for probably like the 1st of May. And I'm going to be messaging them on May 1st and saying like, hey, what did you want for this month? Did you need help changing? And I'll recommend some products to them. And then if they're on Facebook, I don't know if you guys know this, but Facebook actually has an event reminder that you can use now, which is awesome. And so if I don't have their phone number, which I would say like I have about 60% of my LC's phone numbers, but there are some of them that I've just met on Facebook and or on Instagram and don't have their number. And so on Facebook, what I'll do is I will say, okay, I will check in with you on the 1st of May, and I'll see if you need anything, if you need help selecting your product for May. And then I will, when it underlines May 1st, I will click on it and I'll go ahead and set that event reminder. And so like literally just a few days ago on the 1st of May, I had all those, reminders pop up, and I just spent in my power hour, I just sat there and followed up with every single one of them and just said, hey, I want to check in with you and see, what you wanted for May. Did you need help choosing the product? But again, that's kind of like not the same for everybody. I kind of use my judgment on who I feel like needs me to check in with them. Because I feel like some people are very self-sufficient, they come to you for help. So I kind of go with my gut on that. And then I use my planner too for what I need, for people I need to write down.
Awesome. I love it. Go ahead.
Okay. And then as also another thing that I do, you reminded me this when you were talking about promotions and typing in LC. So whenever there's any kind of a BOGO of anything, whether it's BOGO wraps or any of the other cool promotions that Mark announces, I will literally message every single one of my customers. I voice message them all, and Zach will help me, especially now that if it's like a 24-hour sale and I need help tag teaming, but we will voice message them all and just let them know about the promotion. And so I just contact everyone on Facebook for that. That way I can guaranteed have that voice messaging option. And some people, you can actually, I don't know if y'all know this, but you can forward a voice message. So if you made it a generic voice message, like for promotions, and you didn't say their name, you're just like, hey girl, I wanted to let you know, this is so exciting. My CEO just announced, anyone that buys 1 box of wraps for the next 48 hours is getting another box free, blah, blah, blah. And then I always end it, did you want me to get an order placed for you for that?
Is that on Facebook?
Yes, on Facebook. I'll voice message them. And then if I didn't say their name and it was a generic message, you can actually forward that voice message to whoever you want, and they have no idea it was a forwarded message. So
that's nice. Dang, I didn't know that.
So that's what I'll do, especially if it's like a short sale, something that's like 24 to 48 hours. And there's just like no time, I'll go through and do that. And now I do, if it's like an older lady, I give her a personal one and I'm calling her by her name because, again, going with your gut, not everybody wants to be called, hey girl, but when you're knocking out, you can knock out a lot of your like younger customers for sure by just forwarding that message. So, and it's so personal. Like so many people during the last BOGO messaged back, yes, that sounds great. Put me an order through. And so I literally was just logging on eSuite and putting that order through. So, it was a great volume booster. And also, again, just a good way to keep them as a customer, because these were customers that had never tried wraps before for the most part. So this is now another product that I'm getting, in their hands and they're going to fall in love with.
Yeah, love it.
So another thing I make sure that I do is I make sure all my customers know how to use the products really, really, really well in like the right step-by-step way. And I got this from Alyssa. So like in Elite Legacy, she has in the files how to use the Ultimate Body Applicator. Is that what it says? The heading? Yeah, so it's just basically wrap instructions. So you can find that in the files of her page if you don't have it already, but that is golden, because if they don't know how to correctly use the wrap, then they're going to come back and be, disappointed. And so it's really simple, but they need to know those steps. So what I do is like all those people that ordered the BOGO wraps, and then anybody that ever gets a pack that has wraps in it, whether it's System or Target Trio or whatever, I am immediately sending them the wrap instructions and making sure that they know, like, please read this before you wrap. And that just talks about the things like the water and, not using soap before, but taking a hot shower and all those things, measurements, before and after pictures.
And that does come on the wraps, and like all of the products come with ingredients, but it's just good customer service to let them know that they're not just like a quick sale, and to really show that you care. So, which is why, Brittany is explaining why to send directions to people. It just shows that you care so much more.
For sure. And like if you, like for example, like if you have a customer that buys the cleanse is like my number one selling product. And like Alyssa says, it's on the box, but not everybody like necessarily stops and reads all the directions, or maybe they do, but it's like so fleeting. They're like kind of halfway absorbing it. So like anyone that orders cleanse from me, I'm telling them 3 simple things. I'm saying, eat clean while you're on it. Stay away from fried foods and processed foods, and make sure you're drinking a ton of water. So again, that's on the box, but I'm still telling them that the second I sign them as a customer, because I want to make sure that they know and they understand that that's vital to getting the best results for the cleanse. And if ever I have someone that does message me and says something like, oh, I didn't really see the results I was hoping for, I'm immediately asking those questions. Did you drink a lot of water? What were you eating? And again, like, do this gently, but if you can talk through any concerns your LCs have, you're more likely going to be able to shift them from being upset to being like, oh, maybe I misused it. Let me give it another try. Because I've had people that have done that with the cleanse. And when I've said, did you drink a lot of water? They're like, oh, no, not really. And so even though I had told them they didn't, but now they're like, oh, you did tell me and I didn't. And so now they've gone from being mad and thinking it didn't work to being like, okay, I just didn't quite do it right. Let me give it another shot this month. So never, don't be intimidated if a customer has a problem. Like really like use that chance to really like show them a little extra time, provide, go the extra mile with customer service, and really try to help them get to the bottom of it. And, I always tell my people, I want you to have good results. So I want to help you fix this. Like if something didn't work, I want to help you figure out why. And they really appreciate that. They can tell that you're really sincere and you really do want to, get to the bottom of it. So.
Yeah. Okay. So Tina said, how do you put in an order for your loyals? So for someone who's already a loyal customer, how do you get permission to do that?
So I enroll every single one of my customers myself. And so I always just make their password like their first and last name. And then of course I have their ID number. So if they say, can you put an order of the BOGO wraps in for me? I'm immediately just going to their account and I'm logging in and I'm putting the order through. And then I never enable distributor help unless they've asked me for help. But the first time they ever ask me for help, then I enable it when I'm in there. And I'll let them know. I'll be like, hey, I logged onto your account. I got that BOGO order placed for you. While I was in there, I went ahead and enabled distributor account. So that way, if you ever need me in the future, I won't even have to log in anymore. I can do it straight from my back office. So again, I don't do that unless they've asked for help. And when I do it, I let them know that I did it. Because I think, that's technically something they're supposed to, have a say in. So, but yeah, that first time, if the distributor help is not enabled, I log in with their stuff.
Love it.
None of my customers ever change their password. So I don't know, that might not be the same for everybody. If you enrolled your customer and they did change their password, you would need to ask them to either give you their password or to enable distributor help for them. And then once you've enabled distributor help, it's under reports and then edit loyal customers. And you can just literally click edit loyal customers, and every customer that has distributor and help enabled is right there. And so what's going to happen is when you click on them, it actually opens it up in their account. It says like, this is the distributor, like this is Brittany Hayes editing this account, but it's like their account, like their view. But the system logs it that it was you doing it, not them. And you don't actually have to put their password in. So it just bypasses all that.
Cool. And what do you have to click on the loyal account? Someone asked.
What? Sorry.
What do you have to click on the loyal customer account to enable it?
Okay, so on the left-hand side, when you're logged onto the customer's account, it says distributor help. And so you click on that, and it's going to automatically say blocked because it's not enabled yet. And then you just click and enable, and it's going to have two lines. It's going to have your name as the enroller, and it's also going to have the sponsor of whoever you place them under. So if you moved them under someone in your downline, it's going to have both of you. I never enable the person I placed them under. Obviously, I just enable myself. But I just go down and you enable, all the little drop-down options. Yeah. And that also allows you to be able to like submit tickets on their behalf and other really, valuable things that you might need in the future.
Love it. You're doing so good.
Okay. So the other, let me see my notes real quick, make sure I'm not skipping over anything, going too fast. Okay. The other thing I wanted to talk about is just, so one thing that I've had people that have said to me, especially people that have like been a loyal in the past and have either switched over, or people that have continued to order longer than I think even they expected, is they've made comments to me like, oh, I want to keep supporting your business because I see how serious you guys are about it. Or, oh, I see this is a family business now for you guys. I want to keep I want to make sure I keep supporting you. So where I'm going with that is all like, make sure you're consistently posting, make sure that you're letting people know that this is your business. Like this is your baby. You're so serious about this, because the second you like go hot cold, I feel like that's when your customers maybe don't feel like they have to support you anymore. I had a guy that lives local to me, and I used to work with him like 9 years ago, and he wanted to order cleanse, and he was going to a concert this past weekend, and he messaged me and said, hey, do you have any cleanse on hand? And of course I'm like, no, I don't actually carry inventory, but I can get your order through his customer. He said, I'm going somewhere this weekend and I wanted to be able to do it before. He said, I knew that you use a lot of the products. I just didn't know if you had one, you'd mind me buying from you. And so I told him, I said, well, I can sell it to you at the low customer price, but I need you to go ahead and sign up as a loyal customer if I'm going to give it to you at the discount. That way I'm not just selling it to you one time at the discount. I said, but yes, I do have a couple extra on hand. I'd be happy to give it to you. So he comes over, buys the cleanse, signs up as a loyal customer on the spot. And he said to me, he said, yeah, I've actually been buying from someone I went to college with for several years. He said, but she has stopped for the past like 6 months or so. He said, I've still been ordering. He said, but I haven't seen her make a post in 6 months. And he said, I'm not really sure if she quit or not. He said, I don't know how that works. It still lets me order on her account. And I was just like, oh, it'll still let you order. It's just, I don't know if she's quit or not, how you would know that, but it would still let you order regardless. And he said, oh, well, I just really got to thinking after watching you guys, if she's quit and I haven't seen her post in 6 months, I'd rather support someone that is really serious about this. And so of course that was just a really cool moment for me, because I was like, wow, I never would have expected, because he had been a customer for like 2 years, you guys. So he was grandfathered into the free shipping and all that. And but it like really got me thinking like how important it is to make sure our customers know that we're serious about this, and that this isn't just like a hobby. Like this is something that we, really care about and is important to us, because if they know that, they're so much more likely to support you. And you're going to have people that come out of the woodworks later on that maybe didn't support you early on, but do support you later because they know you're serious. Like a lot of my family, when I got started, didn't jump on board. They didn't want to support me. But as they watched us, like later in the fall, like close to the holidays, and we, I guess around 6 months in the business, all of a sudden my family started kind of coming around, bits and pieces like here and there, like, hey, like what, so tell me about this that you posted about. And I told Zach whenever that was happening, I was like, I guess they just wanted to know we're serious. I guess they didn't want to support us if they thought it was just like, just something we were going to pick up and drop a couple months later, which I understand, but it seriously is so true. Like people have to know you're serious. They have to know you're consistent, and you're going to pick up so many more loyal customers along your journey if you're consistent. And you're also going to keep so many more because they feel such a greater sense of loyalty to you when they know they're a part of something bigger, when they know that this isn't just something you're doing just for, and I mean, I know we all start this business for different reasons, so don't misinterpret that. But if whatever you're doing this for, if they know it's important to you and they know you're serious about it, I feel like that's going to keep them, that's going to pull them towards you more. And that's going to make them more hesitant to turn that auto shipment off because they're like, I really like her. I really want to support her in this.
Yeah. I love it. So good.
I saw a comment where it looks like Karen said that it's showing that the person she moved it under is the enroller and the sponsor. It does say that in eSuite, but actually when you log on their account, it will still show you as the enroller. So eSuite, it automatically gives the enrollership over to who you placed it under, but it back in the, like, whatever you want to call it, like the behind the scenes stuff of customer service, they can still tell that you are the enroller. So when you log on their account, it'll show you as the enroller, and then the distributor you place them under as the sponsor. Did you have any other questions for me, Alyssa, or is there anything I skipped over?
I have a whole notebook full. I'm good. Are you good? I'm kidding. I'm ready to go do some following up with people. No, I don't think I have any. Does anyone have any questions? You can type it over under the chat if you do. Do you have anything else that you would like to add?
I think that's the gist of it. I don't want to information overload anybody, but that's pretty much
amazing.
What I do is just, I want to I make sure that I'm thanking them, I'm appreciative of them, and then I'm, checking in with them and letting them know of the, awesome perks that the company is giving them. So basically just utilize what It Works has already given you to make that. I feel like they make it easy for us. You just have to kind of do the talking, and the rest will fall into place if you're, being genuine and caring for your customers.
Yes. So good.
Someone asked, how often do I follow up with PLCs? So I follow up with my loyal customers or my potential loyal customers every Friday. Now there are cases where it might be longer. If they like straight up said, I don't get paid for 2 weeks, then of course I'll follow up with them on that specific day. But if ever I give someone pricing info and then they just kind of drop off and then the conversation just, they don't say anything back, then I follow up with all those people on Fridays. And I'm very, I always tell my team, short, sweet, and direct with my follow-up. So I don't send them like a paragraph or anything. It's just, hey girl, were you still interested in hair, skin, and nails? Or hey girl, were you ready to get your order of hair, skin, and nails in? So it's always one of those two things. Were you ready to get your order in, or were you still interested? But it's very direct, because I feel like if you say things like, oh, let me know if you were still interested, or let me know if you want to get your order in, you're more likely to hear crickets. But if you respond very directly, then you're more likely to get an answer.
Yes, I love it. Thank you so much. I'm so proud of you. You did so amazing. I had got so many tips. I know everyone's like, oh my God, I learned so much. Thank you, Britt, for pouring into us tonight. I know that you are a customer retention machine, and we appreciate you so much. And okay, I think we're good. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
You're welcome. Bye, guys. Have an awesome night.